Hey everybody, and good morning to you. Good to be with you. I'm here live from our Humanities Team studio in Boulder, Colorado. As you can see, I'm with an esteemed guest, Barnett Bain, who's coming to you live from his home in Southern California. Great to be with you today. This is our new time slot here. Actually, we're a half hour early on today, but generally we'll be broadcasting 9 a.m. Pacific, 12 noon Eastern on Wednesdays. Coming to you a half hour early with Barnett Bain. Barnett, good to be with you. I'm going to give you a proper introduction in a second.
Good moment, wherever you are in whatever time zone you're in. Good moment, everyone.
Yes, it is. And we have a really fantastic program here today. Our theme is creative genius in movies and in life. So now, as always, we're here in the studio. We're able to pull in your comments and questions from out on these Facebook platforms. So invite you here anywhere in the program where you've got questions for Barnett or you have comments that you want to make, to throw them up in the chat, and then we will get to as many questions as we can here during the hour. A big shout out to all of our Humanities Stream Plus members, the Humanities Team, friends on our Facebook pages, to the Sign Network and John Raymer, and to Barnett Bain's Facebook page. So, hey, thank you for being here with us. Again, we've got a really powerful hour in store. Let me begin by properly introducing Barnett Bain. Barnett Bain is an award-winning filmmaker, author, and creativity coach. Just a few of his notable film credits that he has directed, produced, and/or written include Milton's Secret, based on the novel by Eckhart Tolle, The Lost and Found Family, Oscar winner, What Dreams May Come, Emmy Award nominee, Outstanding TV Movie, Homeless to Harvard, and The Celestine Prophecy. In addition to filmmaking, Barnett served as a core faculty member at Spirituality Mind-Body Institute at Teachers College, Columbia University, the first Ivy League master's concentration in spirituality and psychology. He is the author of the book of Doing and Being, Rediscovering Creativity in Life, Love and Work, and the third story, Awakening the Love That Transforms. Through his creativity workshops, Barnett guides people of all ages and walks of life to expand their vision of what is possible and develop their gifts and talents with passion. During our conversation, Barnett and I will be discussing his exciting new video program with James Twyman and Humanities Team. It's called Accessing Your Super Creativity, which we just recently created. We actually broadcast it for the very first time last night with Barnett and James live with us. We'll talk a little bit about that. In fact, we're going to bring in a clip from it here shortly. So let me formally welcome you again, Barnett. Great to have you with us this morning. Thanks for being here.
What a pleasure. Can't wait to dive in.
All right, so we were sharing, Barnett and I were talking a little bit here just before we came on camera about a lot of things, actually. One is this movie that was just unbelievable for me. I mentioned it in the introduction, What Dreams May Come, which was the most creative movie I think I've ever seen. Just fascinating, where he's in this life with his wife, and then he's in the afterlife with all of the things that happen. And Barnett, you know, if any stories you could tell about that movie as it was coming together and being made, it was astonishing. I'm sure there are a lot of viewers that remember this movie well too.
Oh my goodness. My takeaway of that movie is centered almost entirely around Robin Williams, from whom I learned so much about humility, about taking chances, about trusting your first creative impulse, questioning it, refining it, but trusting it, about generosity, about how to collaborate, how to co-create, how to welcome others into your process, and how to balance that with having boundaries. So he welcomed all input, and he reserved the right not to have to integrate it. I want to hear it, but I don't have to implement it. And so he was a wonderful, generous, kind genius from whom I learned a great deal.
I'll bet. Um, and wow, what you're sharing there. This is mastery too, is it not? Where we're not closed-minded going into a big project, maybe just the opposite, open-minded, welcoming all forms of input. But then we do need to make the call as to how this is going to be done,
You
and
have to
feel
make the
very
call.
comfortable doing that.
You have to make the call. And there was so much about that man. He met every situation with an awareness of his thoughts and his previous feelings about it. So he was aware about all of that, aware enough to put the clutch in on it. So, for instance, there's that old expression about even though all crows seem to be black, in the next second you might meet a white one.
Right.
That was Robin. So he didn't take anything for granted. He was aware of the customary responses to things or his usual responses to things, aware enough to pause them so that every moment could be met in a new way. Big lesson.
Yeah.
And
No
I'm
kidding.
able to see in action.
Yeah. Boy. I mean, what a moment. Of course, it was a series of moments, but for bringing that whole movie together and then to its culmination, then it wins an Oscar. I mean, wow. What a moment, huh?
Wonderful. What an exciting journey that was. Thrilling.
So I'll bet. So, and there's many more. And again, in the introduction I was sharing, there's a lot that Barnett Bain has done here. Uh, he doesn't call himself a creative genius. We call him that. Also, James Twyman, he doesn't call himself a creative genius, but he is that. Now, I want to we're going to go to a clip here in a second of this brand new program we've just created. We spent 18 months collaborating on this program between James and Barnett. It's the free program is called Accessing Your Super Creativity. And there is a lot in this program that is not intuitive. This is what we were actually talking out last night as we were broadcasting it for the first time. Also, before we go and watch the clip, when we talk about accessing your super creativity, a lot of times where we want to go is to the artistic dimension. And even, we were just talking about a movie, and we tend to think of movies and dance and music and plays and things, which certainly are involve creativity. But the key point that you were making last night, Barnett, and James was right there with you fully, was that creativity is our whole life. You want to just talk about that? It's our whole life.
Well, we are conditioned by the circumstances of our upbringing, our families and our cultures and our religious traditions, our education systems, the media diet. It tells us a story that we live inside a world where certain expressions, mostly relating to traditional arts, those are creative endeavors, and everything else is something else. And that is a very diminished and disempowering perspective. It really opens up so much more flow and energy and possibility and permission when we begin to integrate, to reassemble ourselves, and to relate to every thought and every act and every relationship. It is all a creative act. It all involves choices, decisions, attitudes, feelings, thoughts, and every one of those is conscious. Even the ones that are unconscious, we give them permission to come through. So every one of those involves an act of volition. That makes it creative. Not always positive, not always constructive. And with maturity and discipline and insight, we can learn to discern what is a constructive creative act and what is a less positive creative act. But nonetheless, we are always bringing into being, generating outcomes. Always, always, always. We are not just lucid, we are lucid living, I like to say, as opposed to lucid dreaming, although we're doing that as well. And so every act is a creative act. There is no experience that is not creative. And even the story that, oh, I am, sometimes we hear people say, I don't have a creative bone, I'm not creative. The amount of attention and energy and focus and conviction that is involved in creating that story and then holding it in place and then living inside of it, highly creative. Not productive, but highly creative. Now, it is true that some of us are more naturally attuned to particular creative expressions, whether it's singing or dancing or being in relationship or parenting or teaching or being a good role model or leading a business or conducting an attuned spiritual life. These are all facets of creativity. I like to say we're made in God's image, and God is not a conditional creator. I only create here, I don't create there. It is all of one piece.
Yeah, yes, it is. You've got a famous quote on that. We'll have to come back to that during the program. Love the quote you shared it last night. So we're going to go a lot deeper, actually, into this. So, boy, I'm sure people are even taking notes because there's a lot that you just shared, and there's a lot we're going to go deeper into here relating to creativity that is really our whole life. It's not just artistic expression. Let's first go to this clip from Accessing Your Super Creativity. It's just a short clip, and then we're going to come back, Barnett and I, and talk about it. Here we go.
A genius is anyone who pays attention to detail with patience and with a willingness to be uncertain or to be wrong in the pursuit of what's right. And that does not happen overnight. That requires a practice and development. And for me, it's an ongoing practice. There's always more. I guess from the outside, it can be mistaken for a God-given skill, and it is, but God is an equal opportunity giver, and we all have the capacity to develop our innate genius. So I think it's important for us to remember that it's a given in every human being. And I hope that Jimmy and I will be shedding some insight on this process over the coming weeks. Does that help?
Yes, it does. It's a given, and it doesn't favor anybody, which makes total sense, doesn't it? We're all equal parts of the one, and even
we're all full cups.
That was such a great thing. God is an equal opportunity giver. I'm writing that one
down. that is a good one. And it's true. It's true. Also, that it's not happening overnight, that you're still cultivating, that it's a journey. So it's not like there's a magic wand and boom, there and done. It's a journey. So very important.
There is a cultural belief that creativity is confined to the expression of a certain kind of art form, one of the traditional art forms, And we hold a very different outlook. It certainly includes that, but it also covers the artistry of being alive, the artistry of being a friend, of being a spouse, of being a human being, the artistry of going to the bus stop and of packing a lunch for children. These are all artful creations. When they're done with intention and with purpose, they become graceful, and that lifts the situation from artisanship to artistry, and it makes all of us shine with genius.
All right, we're back. So, wow, nice clip there. So again, this is called Accessing Your Super Creativity. It's a 60-minute program that we unveiled for the very first time last night with Barnett and James live. Maybe some of you were with us. We're actually going to do an encore here on Saturday. So we're going to do the encore at 9 a.m., beginning 9 a.m. Pacific, if you want to join us and you missed last night. So Barnett, that your famous quote was right there, God is an equal opportunity giver, which there's one for the refrigerator, right? Which is so true. But I also want to just go down into, so how do we cultivate creative energy, Barnett? For viewers that are watching, awed by your movies, I'm sure these other creative workshops, things that you're doing in your life and that James Twyman is doing in his life, and where they're saying, I want more of that. How can they cultivate more creative expression in their lives?
Well, to begin with, there's no one path. There's no one magical pill. I think of it like a jigsaw puzzle, and you find a piece, and maybe you find the edge, and you have the line, then you find another edge, and eventually you have a border, and then you find another piece and another piece, and with discipline and attention, energy follows attention. We begin to cultivate a practice, and wonderfully we are met by allies and friends, seen and unseen forces that contribute and participate. That in order for those allies to participate, it requires focus and attention. Nobody is drawn to a path that's going all over the place and is not reliable. But when we have a commitment to putting one footstep in front of another and developing a practice of loving or writing or singing or being a present parent, there are other energies that respond to that. And they know that if they co-create, we are not going to be the ones that diverge from the path. We have to have a commitment. And so we have developed many techniques and practices between myself and Jimmy Twyman, many techniques and practices that we share with people to guide them towards activities, towards an implementation in that practice. And along the way, some supports that allow them to invite in with awareness the spiritual components of that. It all comes together. It all comes together in a graceful, artful expression. And the funny thing is, it's been said before by many that how we do one thing is how we do everything. And so when we make a commitment to develop ourselves creatively, we're really saying that we want to make a contribution of some kind in the world. Now, that contribution can either be self-serving or egoic, or it can be a gift of generosity, a way to support others, to enable others, or empower others, or reduce the fears in others, the fears of humiliation or the fears of failure or whatever their fears are, to give others a sense of belonging, to allow others to feel seen and heard and that they matter, to give others beauty and pleasure emotionally, mentally, physically, in ways that are important and ways that are appropriate. So all of these are creative acts, and they are spiritual acts. They involve consciousness. One has to be aware of, is this an egoic function? Am I looking to separate myself and become more? And I'm not saying this is good or bad, only that we want to develop the radar, the internal radar, so that we can know where we are, where we're coming from. If we know where we're coming from, we know where we're going. All of this, these are all puzzle pieces. All these pieces come together, and they allow us to unfold into a knowing, into a creative knowing, into an artist.
Yes, which is our life, artistry and life, and beautiful.
Yes.
So, and it was a big question that I threw at you there, Barnett, of how do we cultivate creativity? It's such a big question. This was the year and a half collaboration of, okay, how do we create a program, a free program called Accessing Your Super Creativity that just puts these tools out there that talk about how we can be more creative in our whole life. Yes, in artistic expression, but in our whole life. And again, as we were going through a lot of these things last night in our first broadcast, I even shared, I said, boy, a lot of this is not intuitive, at least for me. I don't think it was intuitive for a lot of people. Fantastic. So let me, if you have not registered for this program, I invite you to register for it. It's called Accessing Your Super Creativity. We'll put a link in the window, so hopefully wherever you are out there in Facebook land or on our social media, you'll see this link. You can click it and register for it. We'll be bringing in people in to this encore on Saturday, beginning at 9 a.m. Pacific. Also, you'll have the ability to watch it now or watch it later and schedule it when you register. So check it out. A year and a half went into the making of this, Accessing Your Super Creativity. Barnett Bain, James Twyman, and Humanities team. So I also want to mention now, as we often do, that many people then want to go deeper into something such a creative enterprise, where they say, I'd like to, okay, thank you. Got lots of good tools here, and now I'd like to really kind of dig in and look at how I can bring creative expression to my whole life. All of the things you were talking about, Barnett, artistry, myself, my relationships, on and on. Hopefully you were going into, is it egoic? Is it for a larger purpose? And of course, Humanities Team, we're a 501c3 nonprofit organization. Our whole focus is supporting you on your conscious journey, also making conscious living pervasive worldwide by 2040. And when we're on this conscious journey, it really is that bigger self. It's that self with a capital S, where we are giving to the world around us, because we understand that actually there is no other. That's what the self with a capital S is. And Barnett was bringing in, we're of the Creator, right? Michael Bernard Beckwith likes to say we're an emanation of the One, because everything's energy. We're an emanation of the One. So we actually, the greatest gift that we can give is when we're emanating in these ways that are supporting, yes, ourselves and our family, but the world around us, these beautiful things that Barnett was bringing in. So now, the master class that is a part of this is called Creative Mastery. And let's go just take a look at a clip from Creative Mastery. So this involves, there's 16 modules and live mentoring and the PDF so you can read all of what is said if you're you're on a train or on a flight, you want to read instead of watch the videos. So all of the goodies, or the whole treasure chest, is in this masterclass called Creative Mastery. But let's go take a look at the clip, and then Barnett and I are going to come back and talk a little about it.
So, creativity, why does it matter? The conventional wisdom is that creative intelligence is limited to the arts, that you have to be a writer, a painter, whatever, that there are limited outlets for creative energy. That's one worldview. Here's mine. Everything is a process of creativity. Okay, maybe you're not so interested in creating a circus or a symphony. How about a satisfying relationship or meaningful work? How about a business, which is probably the #1 expression of creativity in America? Every thought or feeling or choice you have is a creative act. Everything you can see, feel, touch, remember, or imagine is part of your being. You create it all. We are always creating all the time. There's nothing else happening, ever. And letting in the truth of that has the power to change what you think, what you do, and what you say.
Okay, that was just a little 1-minute clip from one of the modules. There's 16 modules. The opening module, #1, is Barnett and James, and then the closing module, #16, is again Barnett and James, and they just pour all of their tools into this masterclass called Creative Mastery. And it's about creating a whole life that's creative. Yes, artistic expression for sure, but so much more than that, of how we just really get out of the box, which was one of the things James was talking about. Get out of the box and just go. And he says, and chase after it. So there are lots of beautiful things that Barnett and James share about how our whole life can be creative expression. So this is our latest addition to the Humanity Stream Plus platform. As you may know, Humanity Stream Plus is a revolutionary conscious streaming platform. So streaming platforms are one click. You know, there's not 7 clicks to try and get into something, like is what is often found in our industry. It's one click. You go down into the class. You can one click over to Nassim Harriman and Greg Braden's program called Forbidden Science, or one click over to Discovering Your Soul's Purpose, the new program with Michael Bernard Beckwith and Neil Donald Walsh. So it's a streaming platform. This also means that it's on your iPhone, it's on Roku, it's on Google Pay, it's on all of these devices. Doesn't matter. You pick the device and we bring it into your home. As we're bringing conscious education into our home and into our workplace, we don't want to just be always sitting in front of the computer. So it's a true streaming platform that comes into all of these devices. This is a unique thing in the industry. There are so many things that are unique. The coming into these devices like Roku is unique. It's the only one. It's the only one click in the transformational education space. There's also, and it's the price of one masterclass. So for $3.99, then there's the lifetime access to this program, Creative Mastery, and then there's a 12-month access to hundreds of these transformational education programs. All that you'll see when you go to I think we're going to put we're putting the web address here, humanitystream.org/stream. All of the programs that you'll see now, but we're bringing out new programs all the time. We've already brought out 13 new transformational education programs just in 2022. So, and this is a 12-month subscription. So there are all of these programs coming. Also, the live mentoring that's coming. So, of course, there's 60 Minutes with Barnett Bain. There's 60 Minutes with James Twyman. These are live mentoring programs that are scheduled. But all of the other launches with their live mentoring are a part of this. So, for example, Greg Braden is doing his live mentoring here in a few weeks, and then Bruce Lipton will follow, and then Lynn McTaggart will follow. This is for the Technology, Consciousness, and Evolution program that's going on. So all year, the live mentoring coming in, you can come into the window face to face with Barnett, with James, with these others, to ask the questions that you have and bring then all of this conscious education into your home, into your workplace, where, because it's a community. Actually, what this is ultimately about is a community where we're supporting each other during our conscious journey, and where we're making conscious living pervasive worldwide by 2040. If you ever get in a conversation out on the porch or with family or friends around, boy, the world's in bad shape, I wonder what we can do, here you go. It's right here. This is what we can do. We can live consciously. We can live consciously together. That's the thing. That's the first domino. That's how we create a world that's sustainable with real flourishing. And if you know a little bit about Humanity's Team, we're a 501c3 nonprofit, you know we're very passionate about this. And we've created this community called Humanity Stream Plus. That's a platform, but so much more. It's all of us coming together to support each other on the conscious journey. And again, it's the price of one masterclass, $399. And there is a one-for-one program that's part of this. So when you buy the subscription for yourself and your family, you're gifting a free subscription to an underserved, underprivileged individual. There's a lot of people on the earth that could not afford Humanity Stream Plus at any price. Thus, we created a one-for-one program, because all of humankind, the whole earth needs to become conscious, not just those that can afford to pay for it. So our one-for-one program means that you gift a free subscription to somebody that otherwise could not afford it. So pretty cool. Check it out. Go to Humanity Stream Plus and read all of what's there. There's so much to see. So let me come back to Barnett, this creative mastery program, again, 1.5 years in the making. James Twyman is a great friend of yours, Barnett, right? And this is the first time you've created something like this together.
We have been very dear friends for many, many, many years, and always dreamed of creating something together. We thought maybe it would be a more conventional artistic expression, a book, a film, a song, and never really added up to anything. And then you and Humanity's Team came along and suggested maybe we should put our attention on empowering others with whatever gifts and talents and techniques and skills we have picked up along the way, these many, many years. And we thought, that's a wonderful idea. So that chance crossing of these things, it sparked something beautiful and wonderful. But that is how that happened.
Yes, and one of the things people may know about Humanity's Team, Humanity Stream Plus, is we love collaborative teaching. Because the best practice in teaching, actually, if you go dig into teaching, it actually is collaborative teaching, where if you could get the best instructors in the whole world together to teach a particular course, then you've got, and where there's some cohesion, an arc of cohesion and power across those instructors, and that's a big lift. But where you can do that, then you have this synergy thing of 1 + 1 = 5 or 10 or 15 or 20 or something, a lot more than 2. So it's why we like doing collaborative teaching. It takes a long time, but when you do it right, it's huge. And again, we had James and Barnett together live last night as we did our first viewing. And it's just unbelievable the way they ricochet off each other. Amazing, which is what this whole creative mastery masterclass is, ricocheting off each other. Incredible synergy where James brings in his teachings and Barnett brings in his teachings, and you just are given lift, rocket kind of lift here with this. And you go into, the objective of the program is to just have a more creative life in general. Live more creatively, out of the box, where we're not doing the sheeple thing of, oh, you know, I have these limits, I'm a guy, I can't do this, I've never done that. We're just dynamiting all of that. We just blow it away in this program of, no, we can do all of it. we're eternal beings. We're a part of the Creator. We can do all of it, and we can do it all actually in benevolent ways, so that we're just valuable to all of those around us. And this of course is what creates true prosperity. So that's what this program is about. I want to share too. The program, the cohort that's going through, the very first cohort that's going through is going through it'll start in a couple of weeks. But where you subscribe to Humanity Stream Plus, like if you subscribed in the next hour, you would gain access to the entire Creative Mastery program right away. So you can, a lot of people want to dive in, they want to jump in, they want to get started. They're passionate after watching a program like this, and you have that opportunity. The whole program is available to you right away when you join Humanity Stream Plus. And then again, you can go check out all of these. Do look at the other programs that are astounding, that are many of them are very new. Some of them are not as new. They're a year old, a year and a half old, 2 years old. But they're collaborative teaching programs like this that have never been put together before with incredible synergy. There's a program called The Science of Self-Empowerment that Greg Braden, Bruce Lipton, and the Heart Math leaders, Deborah Rosman and Howard Martin, created a while back. That's astounding, the science of self-empowerment. So that you'd want to check out. So again, there are hundreds of programs. You ought to go take a look at all of them. Mediumship with Suzanne Giesman, or Karen Noe, or Sound Healing with Jonathan Goldman. Or I shouldn't just throw out names, because we could just. Barbara Marx Hubbard's programs, you probably know, we were very close during her lifetime. Her programs are on the Stream Plus platform. So check them out. So we do have some questions coming in here, and I'm going to get to them. So thank you, viewers. And I see Kay, Mark. Mark Porteous, hey, big shout out to you. So he's a good friend. I know he knows you too, Barnett. Mark Porteous is doing great work in the world. Vance. So we're going to get to your questions here in just a second. But Barnett, before we jump over to questions, just as we talk about this whole creative mastery thing, any other things that you'd like to bring in regarding just this whole enterprise and what you've created here with James?
Well, you alluded to a big one. There are certain unexpected fruits, discoveries that bubble up when, as a result of a committed creative practice. And one of those things is a deepening of our ability to work co-creatively with others, whether it is on a particular artful project, or in a team, in a business environment. So many of us have challenges around working with others and taking or giving input. Often taking or giving input can be fragmenting and can be triggering. Sometimes it can become hierarchical. And so one of the benefits of a creative discipline is that we gain insight into that problem and we become more adept and more skilled. It becomes likewise another art form, another expression of artistry and creativity. The collaborative effort itself is a creative art. And when we look out into the world, that seems pretty obvious. Nature knows how to play nicely with others. And so it's a big, big benefit, a big gift. It's not something that I usually stress up front, but since you brought it up, Steve, there you have it.
Yeah. Beautiful. Yeah. Thank you. And so true. That we can become more, the sharp elbows can kind of get sanded down. We we can.
They get sanded down, and there are certain benefits because that is contagious. We learn, human beings learn by modeling, by what we see. And when parents, teachers, employers, leaders, when they begin to integrate this seasoning, this maturing of their creative expression, and they implement it, we see it in how they interact with others and in how they either be the greatest leaders or the greatest followers. Same thing. Others gravitate to that and they model themselves after it, particularly our children. Particularly our children. When they see their parents behaving in a particular way, they emulate it.
Yeah, right. And they won't always say they're, oh, I didn't get it from you. Now don't be thinking, but it is our actions more than our words, for sure. We were Barnett and I were having fun talking before the program. We both actually adopted our children at birth, open adoptions, and wow, so we have a big intersection there. But I'm sure we have a lot of parents here with a lot of stories we could throw out. So I'm going to let me get to some of these questions here. I want to just share, though, Barnett, as we're talking, one of the things I'm remembering is back probably 5-7 years ago, we were talking, my brother Kevin, I think, was part of the Zoom conversation, and you were saying, we've entered the age of consciousness, right? That we talk about the previous ages of technology and artificial intelligence and blah, blah, blah. But we have entered the age of consciousness. That was a true call, I believe. I believe that's where we are now when we, this whole conscious journey thing, it has to be the first domino, of just kind of really understanding the invitation in life of how we can live fruitfully, in true prosperity, which is what conscious living is all about. By the way, and conscious living goes by many names. Some call it unity consciousness or oneness or the new spirituality or there are many. It doesn't really matter the name, but it's more what is it and how does it work? And I'm sure viewers that are here, you're here because you feel it. It just life is prioritized differently. We look out on the world in a different way. We prioritize our own actions and the professional work we're doing in a different way. Our relationships have a different mechanics to them. And that this program, Creative Mastery, is awesome because it's right in the middle of what conscious living is. We talk about living consciously, and we just are like in a river. This was one of the metaphors James was using, where we just let go and where we are in flow, with this one of which we are part, universe, the divine, love, life. Doesn't matter the word we use, but where we let go and where we live in that flow. This is where we get unbelievably creative, unbelievably passionate, and we have an incredibly fruitful life. So that's what Creative Mastery is about. It's applying creativity to our entire life. And I want to just say it was such a privilege and pleasure to be working with Barnett Bain and James Twyman. I was telling Barnett, wow, how fun when we were putting programs together. I'm kind of the director of, okay, we're going to do this and this and this, and Barnett's out doing the kind of professional work he is, and I got this little director role here with him and James. So it was a lot of fun and really enjoyed
May I
it.
add something to what you're saying, Steve?
Yeah, please.
I'd like to just add something. When we look into our history as a people, as nations, in history, there was power at one point was constellated around land ownership, serfs and titled landowners and agrarian life in between. And then the focus of power shifted to the Industrial Revolution. We had hundreds of years of that. And then it shifted to the information era. And we still see, it looks very much like we're in it now, but if you can see it, you're not in it. So the next piece is a move from the information value to the consciousness value. And those that will thrive and prosper and have impact, a beneficial impact for themselves and for the world, those will be people who are conscious. And the expression of consciousness is creativity. Creativity is consciousness's work. That's how it shows up in the world. So we are following an evolutionary impulse. And it feels exciting in that way. It gives me lots of excitement and generates lots of passion. We're at a place where I personally don't know exactly where I am or where I'm going, but we have certain tools and certain practices and certain commitments. And part of consciousness is being aware of what takes me out of the present so that I can be present and in the flow and allow consciousness to create itself, creativity to create itself, and I am there for the ride. And we have tastes of this every night in our dream life. The dream unfolds, it creates itself, and we have inputs here and there, but it creates itself. There's something much bigger going on, which, yes, maybe it is generated by aspects of ourselves, but they're there are aspects of ourselves that we are not controlling and that we don't have intimacy with yet. So all of this is part and parcel of what creativity is and what we will be covering with technique and practice.
Yeah, fantastic. I just love sitting here listening to you and James talking about creativity and its application all over the place. And here you're even bringing in kind of the whole evolutionary process on the earth, where you're saying if you can see it, then you're not in it. Fantastic. I mean, just a lot of incredible wisdom here. And this creative mastery program, I can't say enough good things about it. And I'm going to go to a question here from somebody that's in the Humanity Stream Plus room, Alex. So Alex, though, you and others that are part of Stream, again, you all ought to dive right into this program now because it's available now. So let me bring in your question. So Alex says, the movie What Dreams May Come resonated with me and my take on the teachings of Sufism. And therefore, I was curious as to where did the inspiration, creativity for the movie come from? Also, if I may ask, I'm curious as to what inspired and developed your personal experience with creativity, Barnett. Two-part question.
Two-part question. The first one is simple. So the movie was based on a novel by the great Richard Matheson. And the screenplay was written by the great Ron Bass. And there were many influences that were stirred into the mix that came from various wisdom traditions. And at a certain elevation of remove, many of these wisdom traditions appear to overlap. And so you are recognizing the wisdoms of many traditions. Yes, Sufism and Hinduism. And, we had feedback from some in the Hindu community who felt that we didn't credit them appropriately, but we weren't consciously appropriating anything from one tradition or another. It was the expression of our own spiritual path. And Richard Matheson provided an incredible roadmap that was the expression of his spiritual path. So there's that. As far as my own adventure, my own relationship with creativity. We are born into life as creators. So the real question is, when did the scales fall off, and when did I realize what I'm about? You know, we all have heard from the time we were very little, if you live in the Judeo-Christian culture, that we were made in the image of the Creator, but nobody lets that in. If you're made in the image, the imagination of the Creator, you are the Creator. And what we really are, more accurately, is a focus of consciousness of the oneness. We are a drop of water thrown on the beach from the ocean. The same stuff, which means we have the same capacities. We don't have the omniscience or the omnipotence and the omniscience, but we have the capacity to grow into an awareness that we are one with all things. I'm not separate from anything. There's no subject and no object. I don't want to go too far off right now, but I can't resist. So in the Genesis story, we begin in the Garden of Eden. The Garden of Eden is a place that has no subject and no object. Everything is one. And then as the story goes, there was a brunch at the tree of good and evil, and apples were eaten, fruits of knowledge of good and evil. And therein, that is a metaphor, therein we began to separate ourselves from the oneness. There's me, and then there's everything else. And so now I have shame. They covered up. There is no longer an experience of self as one with everything. Everything. There was now, I have a pretend that I am in a world and I am not part of it. So now I'm at war with the world. I can go on that. It's one of my favorite. It's one of my favorite subjects, but I won't. You get the point. So the creative process is likewise a coming to understand that I'm born into the world and I feel connected to everything. As an infant, as a newborn, I can even feel my mother's emotions. And then I'm severed from it. And when I'm severed from it, it's a trauma. And now I am beginning to game it. I now have to learn how to manipulate safety and security because I'm living inside of a story that says I'm separate from it. And everything about that story that I'm living in supports that. And part of what the conscious life is to, that is what the transcending piece is to transcend that narrative of subject and object and begin to explore, to recover, rediscover, and explore what is it to be one with all that is. And that doesn't happen in a second, although we hear stories about that. I've never run across anybody that had it like that. For most of us, it is a practice, and there are many paths to putting the Humpty Dumpty back together again. And one of them is the creativity path. So I embarked on that path young.
Yeah, creativity, right in the middle. Actually, right in the middle. As we talk about conscious living and humanities team, as you'll see, this is like the hub. Because we have to let the limits go. We have to fall into flow. We have to just really dive into our passions with abandon. And there's so much more. I mean, these are just things that I'm getting from hearing Barnett and James talk and from their modules. But wow, it's a whole way of living our life consciously that's just fun. Just where we're just fully engaging our passions, and it's fun, and we find true prosperity, what being rich really means, where it's beyond just a financial domain. So here are some things that are being shared. So Mark Porteous, I mentioned earlier, he says, "Good morning, Barnett and Steve. Thank you both for doing this great work to create powerful ripples of positive impact." Mark, hey, thank you. Mark is doing a lot of great work out in the world here with his wife, creating a conscious planet. So, and then Kay says, "Thank you, Steve and Barnett, James, and your teams for creating this great program. Imagine the ripple effect that Mark mentions." And thank you, Kay, for coming in with that. We're actually, I told you, Barnett, time was going to go fast. We're down to like 2.5 minutes. So, and we can go a minute or two over. It's okay. Let me bring in, though, a question from Melinda. She says, "I once heard a meditation teacher use the phrase unprovoked happiness. The teaching was to focus very intently on one thing, on any one thing, until one's slate would shift into communion, translated as happiness. Does this resonate with you and the work that you do with people and creativity, Barnett?"
Well, I'm not 100% sure that I follow the process. It sounds exciting. My personal experience, my personal commitment is to integrate everything. I have spent many years focusing on separating things out, and I am now intent on integrating everything in my experience and relating to it as a personal reflection of myself. And so I find that to bring me happiness, contentment, a sense of belonging, of mattering, and I'm thrilled to share that with others. I hope that helps.
Yes, it does. Yeah, thank you. Thanks for just bringing through everything so honestly here, so authentically, Barnett. Really beautiful. So I just want to say, what a great program. Wow, I've thoroughly enjoyed it. I know I'm talking for viewers, because viewers have been bringing in these very same comments. Fantastic. And again, we're doing our encore program with Barnett and James on Saturday beginning at 9 a.m. Pacific. So if you go to the Humanities Team website and scroll down, you'll see the free program there that you can register for. It's called Accessing Your Super Creativity. You can join us on Saturday. We're going to also do live question and answer following the program. So I invite you to check that out. And if you're and check out the Humanities Stream Plus platform and community. This is really where we're going with this as we frame it, is we're changing humanity's future, which sounds very big, and it is. Changing humanity's future. And it's not something Humanities Team is doing. It's all of humanity, all of us who are coming together on this conscious journey, where we're saying this is the thing, where we understand that we're deeply connected, that in fact we're one, we're an emanation of the one, and where we have these interior practices that are called meditation or prayer or walking through nature or artistic expression, painting. There's so many beautiful ways where we can commune with the one, which is the divine in each other. So this is what this platform is about. It's what the community is about. It's about living consciously, where we bring true prosperity into our lives, into our families' lives, into our home. We bring these very same practices into work, so that our professional life becomes about something more than just top and bottom line growth. It's about serving life, creating services and products and services that are serving life, that are serving community, our country, the whole planet. So it's about becoming healers and alchemists. So where we feel the pain, for example, over in the Ukraine right now, how would we be human if we didn't feel that pain? But we don't stop there when we're conscious. We keep going into these practices with prayer and meditation and intention and living metaphysically, where we're healing, we're healers and alchemists to that part of the world. You may follow Lynn McTaggart's work, who's one of our partners, where she's doing these intention experiments quite frequently with incredible success. So I want to invite you to be part of this. Let's change humanity's future. A future where we live consciously, where we support each other living consciously, where we're devoted to making conscious living pervasive worldwide by 2040. And this new program that Barnett and I are talking about here today, Creative Mastery, just points us straight in the direction of living creatively in a very, very powerful and fruitful way that supports all of what I just talked about when I'm talking about a future where we change humanity's future. So check it out. Go to humanitiesteam.org, go to Humanities Stream Plus, and check that out. And I invite you to, I want to ask Barnett Bain for a website that people can go to follow his work. He's doing incredible work, just a great thought leader out in the world. Barnett, how can people continue to follow you?
Well, my website is right there on the Chiron. It's barnettbain.com, and you can see what I'm up to there. I am thrilled to be involved with Humanities Team. I'm very excited about what we all put together over 18 months. And I had no idea that it would blossom and grow and expand in such a way. But I just feel honored to have been invited along to begin with and to be a part of what it grew into. And I am looking forward to sharing it with as many of you that are called to join us.
Yes, me too. Yeah. So accessing your super creativity, go through the free program and then there's a program page on Creative Mastery. You can read the program page with all the module descriptions and mentoring and transcripts and all the things, the community that you're a part of. Check that out. I know you'll be glad that you did. In fact, if you're sitting here watching this program now, I'll bet you that you actually drew yourself to this place right here, right now, so you could learn about this program. So, hey, thank you, viewers, for being with us today. Thank you, Barnett Bain. And we're back next week. We're back next week with Neil Donald Walsh is with us next week. So be sure to join us. That's at 9 a.m. Pacific next Wednesday. We'll have a great conversation. We're going to talk about changing humanity's future. Okay, have a great rest of day and week, everybody, and be back with you next week. Love and blessings to each of you.